Sri Lankan Kiwis fear for their families as protests rage on. Millions across the country are calling for a change in government, accusing the family in charge of corruption and mismanagement of the economy.
And there are also calls for New Zealand's Foreign Minister to condemn the Sri Lankan government. Cataclysmic reports.
Sri Lankans crying out for change, telling their president Gotabaya Rajapaksa to pack his bags, step aside and go home.
There's no income. There are no tourists coming in. It's a cataclysmic failure of government.
They're frustrated in how the government handled funds or mismanaged funds.
Vinusha Paul Raj is one of millions who lined the streets of towns across the island. She says the cost of food is doubling every few weeks.
Now you find people paying up to 100 rupees for a standard loaf of bread, which, I mean, a lot of Sri Lankans never imagined would happen in their lifetime.
People are fainting and 4 people have died in queues for food and fuel amid shortages. There are power cuts of up to 15 hours a day, and today unions declared a medical emergency. In response, the president imposed a 36-hour curfew, temporarily cutting access to social media and contact with families overseas. It's the 3rd time in recent years access to social media has been halted. And for many Sri Lankans, like Suveen Sanis Valangampola, who live in New Zealand, it's an anxious wait to hear from loved ones.
Hello? Mama.
This time, people circumvented the blackout through the use of VPNs.
We did have family members trying to reach us, but fortunately Sri Lankans were ready.
The result saw the hashtag #GoHomeGota trend worldwide, and the global diaspora added their voices in protest against the president, taking to the streets in the US, Australia and around New Zealand.
If it was intended to quell and contain and control dissent, it failed spectacularly.
Dr. Sanjana Hattatua says social media posts across all platforms in Sri Lanka are going viral at a rate never seen before. Even the president's nephew, the digital minister, condemned the blackout using Twitter via a VPN. Protesters are calling for those responsible for economic mismanagement to be held accountable.
Sri Lanka is not poor. We weren't poor. We were robbed.
With protests showing no signs of stopping and the president showing no signs of stepping down, there are fears over what could happen next. Cataclysmic, News Hub.